This podcast is a part of the PodMania Podcasting Network. Check out podmania.co.uk to check out more of our great podcasts, features, reviews, match ratings and previews spanning the crazy and diverse world of professional wrestling.
Hello, my name is Simon Miller from What Culture Wrestling, and you are listening to the PodMania Pro Wrestling Podcast, and you better keep listening to it. Why? Here's why.
You're listening to the PodMania Pro Wrestling Podcast, a sample of the best pro wrestling podcasts we can produce on our tiny budget. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Podcast Addict, CastBox, and all other podcast platforms. If it's wrestling you want, check out more of our great content at podmania.co.uk. Let's do this.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the PodMania Podcast, The Week in Wrestling. I'm your host, Rob Gunn, and I'm joined by Chris O'Brien. How are you, Chris?
Fine. You told me before we came in there that you hate me for watching X-Men. But...
I was wondering where that was going then. I was like, what's he going to say? I hate him? What? Oh, no, he's watching the X-Men films. That's perfectly fine.
I tried to explain this before we came on air, before we ended up talking about David Starr. It was on like Saturday or Saturday or Sunday. I was hungover, and I was just lying in bed scrolling through Disney Plus, and I was like, "Oh, X-Men! I haven't seen that since I was a teenager. I loved it as a teenager. Watched it. It was great." I was like, "I've never seen X2. I'm gonna watch X2." And then, like Rob, as you know, I'm fairly compulsive. I was like, "Okay, I'll watch X-Men 3." And once I watched X-Men 3, I'm like, "Okay, I guess I'm watching all of them now." So I've just gone past for Wolverine, and to be fair, I'm enjoying it so far. I even enjoyed the ones that Gaff says he hates, which is both Wolverine movies.
I will just say for context that you did also say that you enjoyed the Origins film, which has that absolutely abhorrent Deadpool in it.
Yeah, but here's the thing. When I watch comic book movies, I try and put myself in the shoes of someone who hasn't read a comic in their life, which would have been me at that age. Also, I'm not massive into Marvel mythology, but I do love Deadpool. So, like, on one hand, it's like, yeah, fuck that. But also, like, honestly, if I had never heard of Deadpool in my life and just saw Wade Wilson, I'm like, oh, okay. I think, like, removed from, like, expectations and comic continuity, it's fine. I don't think it's a great film. I think it's a fine film.
I think you're wrong, but there we are.
Apart from the Deadpool thing, what makes it a bad film?
The entire narrative, the way they messed up Sabretooth,
Sabretooth thing was stupid.
There you go. I mean, there's only so many things that you can fuck up in a film, whether it is the narrative, whether it's the dialogue, whether it's the character development, or whether it's the characters in general. If you fuck up two or more of those, you can't have that many things that save it. It's a terrible film.
Don't know. Harry Potter managed to trug along with all that.
Yeah, the difference is that Harry Potter has the books to support it.
Yeah. Well, not anymore. I'm pretty sure Matt Hatsune Miku has come out as for real all through Harry Potter.
Chris, you made reference to David Starr, and let's use that as a segue to get into all the news from this week in wrestling. Obviously, we didn't record one last week. We had all sorts of power outages and all sorts of problems, so we haven't done that.
You had all sorts of power outages.
It was bizarre. The last couple of days have just been a storm every night. It's been crazy.
Now you know what it's like living in Scotland.
Anyway, so as Chris alluded to earlier this week, David Starr, it broke that David Starr, via an ex-girlfriend, was alleged to have been sexually assaulting a woman. This has all broken on Twitter. The woman has come out and basically said that David Starr is manipulative. He is mentally abusive. He has sexually abused her. Went on in a big long statement to say all the things that he's done. David Starr was very quick in his response. Chris, obviously, I'll throw to you in a moment. I'm not going to obviously quote the entire thing because he posted about 7 screenshots of the Notes app on his phone explaining what was going on. And basically, he's announced that from August 2009, he's been in counselling. And in this, it's not a rebuttal because he accepts everything that the lady's called Victoria. Everything she says, he accepts that he's done. He stops short of the sexual assault allegation. This all stems from basically a gig that they were at in the hotel room. There seems to be sort of issues with the word no. Victoria says that she said no, and David Starr says, if there was a no, I didn't hear it. He was under the impression that it was consensual. This has led to David Starr being stripped of the TNT Championship, the OTT Championship, and has been let go from his partnership to We Are the Independents. It's a very, very messy situation. Again, David Starr has admitted to a lot of things that basically are very, very, very unpleasant and need to be looked at and sorted. We're not going to speculate on here as to whether the rape allegation is true. It's an unpleasant area, an area that absolutely should not be happening, and it's a disgrace it still is happening. But it's not for us to speculate as to whether it's true or not. What I will say is that David Starr needs to sort himself out, sort out everything that has been levied at him. He's come out and said that he's a dickhead in relationships. He's cheated. He's been manipulative. He's being immature. He's been all these things, but that doesn't come as any. It's not an excuse, basically. But we're going to see how this all pans out. And yeah, we wanted to report it as it is the biggest wrestling story at the moment that's going around.
Especially in Brit Res, because it's essentially an alleged predator is in Brit Res, and it's so tightly knit. Which is bad because, I feel like every year we have something like this, and you get it in your head, but Brit Res is better than that, but it keeps proving that it isn't.
Yeah, David Starr is one of the biggest names in Brit Res, and
just for a quick overview of just how big he is, he won Progress at Super Strong Style and headlined Alexandra Palace. He's in the biggest feuds in OTT as well against Devlin and Walter. Also WXW, who's their champion. Chances are, if you're a small indie promotion, you've been booking him. Discovery up here has been booking him. Also, TNT, as mentioned. Who was I thinking of? The one down in Brighton. I think the name
Riptide.
Riptide. That's what I'm thinking of. But he's been that journeyman workhorse, and just. It's bad. It's honestly, by the sounds of it, again, we don't want to speculate, but what he's putting out there, we can't say whether he's guilty, but sure as fuck isn't innocent, and that's awful. Again, and it's slightly disappointing because the way he builds himself up, he's meant to be better than that, and he's absolutely reprehensible. Even with the stuff he's been admitting, that's fairly. Fuck off, mate.
Yeah, even without the rape allegation, which is horrendous in itself, to then, even the stuff he's admitted to is disgusting.
Yeah.
And the way he treats other people, treats women, treats relationships, the way that he's, the things that he's admitted to, admitting to it, unfortunately, does not clear you.
The fact that he had this statement prepared a week and a half in advance and then promoted it, and he had it out basically as soon as possible and then promoted it, that stinks of me trying to get ahead of the narrative, which does not make you, which isn't a good look.
Yeah, and that is one of the things that I've seen on Twitter. Obviously, people have erupted on Twitter. David Starr was quite a divisive figure, but I think that and the fact that it is so long, the fact that he seems to be saying, if you think that, then I'm sorry. If you think that, then I'm sorry. So the wording of his statement, as well as exactly, and then on top of that, the fact that he promoted it, the fact that it was done a week in advance, that something's not right there. But again, I'm not here to speculate.
We're not judge, jury, or executioner with these dicks of the podcast, and I'm trying to be very, very careful because, one thing I have noticed is the discourse around this is awful, and that's just for example, Starr was already not well liked among a lot of people, especially WWE fans, because he was very vocal, which people are going, oh, I knew they've been waiting for an opportunity to hate Starr. And don't get me wrong, this is a big reason to hate Starr. I used to love him and I hate him now. But also, people aren't going, well, reprehensible thing, fuck him. They're going, oh yes, I have a reason to shout fuck him. And that's, you're not good at that point. I just want to say that, again, you can say fuck him, but don't stop celebrating that you finally have a reason to not like him.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's move on from this then, because it's an unpleasant topic, and we need to wait for more things to come to light. Whether anything else is done from this, obviously Victoria said she's not pressing charges, and unfortunately, it sounds very much like a he said, she said thing. Let's wait.
Gonna get a shit ton of abuse as well, just because that's what happens when women come forward, unfortunately.
Which is disgraceful.
Absolutely disgusting. If you're one of those people, regardless of any situation, fuck off. You don't deserve to wear.
1,000,000,000% agree with you, mate. Let's move on then, away from this, and let's move on to the greatest pay-per-view ever, Chris.
Very quickly, can I talk about how happy I was that The Greatest Showman was the theme song here?
Well, I'm not a fan.
You're not a fan of The Greatest Showman, you heartless bastard.
I mean, don't forget I work in a school, so as soon as that film came out, it was fucking everywhere for 6 months.
So you don't like any of the songs?
No, I don't. I think they're
not one.
Annoying. Yeah, I don't.
They take me from the highest highs to the criest cries, Rob.
I mean, I don't even like the fact that Panic at the Disco covered it. In fact, I hate it even more because it was the Panic at the Disco version.
Yeah, to be honest, the fact that Panic at the Disco, I didn't just get the original. It's awful, but yeah, the actual movie is amazing. Made me cry every time.
Did you realise that the other theme was Green Day?
I skipped through most of this pay-per-view. You're gonna have to stop giving me credit.
The song "Oh Yeah" by Green Day, which I was like, I know this song from somewhere. It's off the new album, and it's not one of their best.
What an awful album. That's probably my least favourite album of the last year.
What, Father of All? Oh, it's not that bad.
I mean,
Green Day have produced worse.
Expectation, because it was either the album before this or the album before that, back in 2016. That was all right. That was a decent album.
Revolution Radio.
Yeah, I thought that was a good album.
It was a very good album.
And then this comes out, and it's just I'm bored. Something happened. And it's no, there's so much better time to listen to Charlie XCX's new album. Great record.
You know what I listen to. You know that I'm not going to do that.
I mean, I know you're not going to do that, but our fans might want to.
Anyway, so Sunday saw Backlash 2020 from the Performance Center. This was obviously billed 100% around the stipulation of the greatest wrestling match ever, but there were other matches on this card. And basically, what I want to say is this show, not fucking bad. I'll be perfectly honest. I enjoyed this show, Chris.
It's better than Money in the Bank, mostly because it ended on a better note, where Money in the Bank was sort of a fine show with a great title match and a shocking ender. Whereas this is almost paced as well as Double or Nothing. And it's not as good as Double or Nothing, don't get me wrong, but still.
Let's delve straight in. Sorry, Chris, I didn't realize you finished.
In terms of overall thoughts, I did skip one or two matches because look, guys, I track my matches of the year and I have a 50 fucking match list I need to get through. So there's only so much time in the day. In terms of COVID era shows, I'd say this is better than Mania. Mania had higher highs. Well, maybe not higher highs, but like actually no, because that Firefly Funhouse. But like by and large, Mania was a bit of a snooze fest.
I felt the lack of crowd more at Mania than I did here. And obviously because I know they've got people from the Performance Centre in.
We'll get onto that.
Oh, God, will we? But I don't know. It does help that these pay-per-views that they've been doing in the empty arena sort of era. We've had Money in the Bank, which clicked in at under 2.5 hours. This was only just over 3 hours, and that's only because the main event went 44 minutes. So I don't know whether it is just because of that or whether because, a simple smattering of 20 people makes a difference. I don't know, but I did enjoy this show.
To be honest, I enjoy the NXT talent being at ringside because it gets to play like Where's Waldo with obscure employment center, performance center,
the job center.
Yeah, where we sent fucking 60 other roster members. That I get to play, like for example, Casey Catanzaro and I forget her name, but she's really good with like the dreadlocks from the Mae Classic were in there. And
what's her name? Not Cameron. Fuck is her name? I know who you're talking about.
I'm pretty sure it's late. No, it's not late. And I think her name was Lacey, and then we changed it because Lacey Evans.
It's not Peyton. No, it's not Peyton. Oh, what's her name? That's really going to bug me. Carry on anyway.
But yeah, that was actually fairly fun, and then like this show was fairly fun. I did skip the 2 matches in the middle because I have no time for a Braun Strowman title run or Nia Jax. But yeah, but also like I had time for the War Raiders until they didn't have time.
Well, we'll get on to that because I have fucking thoughts on that. Anyway, I'm just going to run through a couple of these. We'll stop at the main talking points, but otherwise, no. Apollo Crews defeated Andrade on the pre-show for the United States Championship. Good match, clean match. Very, very inoffensive. Angel Garza came out with Andrade. He ate a stunner from Kevin Owens, who was on commentary, and I hope to God that when Kevin Owens retires, he goes to commentary because he's entertaining as shit.
I have the thoughts of that for someone else later in the show as well. But yeah, is Cruz Cruz was champ, wasn't he?
Cruz is champ. Cruz is still champ.
How's he doing as champ? I haven't seen any of it.
This sort of links into something I'm going to talk about later. Paul Heyman is big on Apollo Crews, and obviously that's a reason he got a big push. How that will fare now that Heyman has got less to do with WWE Creative on Raw, if anything to do, I don't know. He was booked well here, but it was a throwaway 7-minute match on the pre-show. We'll have to wait and see.
Apparently Vince is incredibly high on Garza.
Yeah, he's labelled him the new Eddie Guerrero, hasn't he?
Because we can't have an original Latino.
Well, this is also the same Vince that was high on Humberto Carrillo and Andrade and Rey Mysterio, and he flips and flops. It's Vince McMahon. With
Vince, he seems to have 3 lanes for Latino people. You have the Rey Mysterios, you have the Eddie Guerreros, and you have the people who are going to pay minimum wage to do my garden. That seems to be the 3.
I give it 6 stars. It's not one I would actively encourage you to go and watch. It was just there. It was a decent defense for Apollo Crews, who gets yet another win over Andrade. We kicked off the main show with the Triple Threat Tag Team match for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships, with the Boss and Hug Connection defeating Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross and the Iconics.
Question.
Go on.
How are we this far into WWE respecting women and somehow half members of this match fucking suck?
Well, I will say that the match itself wasn't that bad. I enjoyed certain bits of it, and I thought...
Hey, died at one point.
Well, I thought Billie Kay has improved. I still think that she was the weak link in this match.
Yeah, I think the Iconics were... With Bliss, though, I find it weird that she's been like the biggest thing in this division for ages, and she's still not great.
See, I disagree. I think she's improved massively, and in this match, for me, she was a standout.
Yeah, she's went from a 3 out of 10 to a 6 out of 10.
Yeah, she's not the best in the ring. I mean, there is still a distance between Sasha Banks, Bayley, and the rest of them.
I haven't watched Raw or anything, but like, how could her promos be good as a face?
I don't know, but I don't think she is cutting many promos. I know she's still got the Moments of Bliss segments.
But Cross was sort of just there.
Nikki Cross is great. She's so good in the ring, but she's given so little time to shine, which is unfortunate. But that's just the way it is, unfortunately.
Would you believe that Nikki Cross played a supermodel character in ICW?
It seems to go against everything her character stands for in the WWE, but okay. No, I didn't know that.
She was completely different in ICW, partly because, if you just have a Raj girl in a Glasgow promotion, people are just going to go, oh, it's like my girlfriend. Yeah, and then Bayley and Sasha are great, but I think everyone's sick of the horsewoman at this point.
Yeah, it's coming across that... It's especially coming down on Charlotte, but I mean...
Well, yeah, but when was the last time... Charlotte has a chokehold on, the big stories. So I don't blame people for being sick of Charlotte. Becky was was starting to lose her well, but then she stepped away to have a child. And then, Bayley is a Karen.
Bayley and Sasha have been basically running the SmackDown Women's division for over a year now, so...
I still see Bayley's new look as her new look, despite the fact it's been around for a year now.
I weirdly think it suits her.
It does suit her. I think as a heel, I think she looks really cool, but also she looks like a Karen.
Oh yeah, she really does.
She's going to ask to speak to your manager. She's going to refuse to wear face masks. Then again, she wouldn't be allowed to. This match was fine. Nothing really to talk about. Sasha Banks remains to be one of the best workers in the WWE Women's Division.
Yep, agreed. One thing I will say, going back to your previous comment about Bayley being Karen, I don't appreciate the fact that Peter Rosenberg and whoever's on the WWE Kickoff show referenced her as Karen, and not okay with that.
That's a joke for fans to make. Stop making your performers look less legitimate. It's it's weird because they thought because I'm sure we're not paying Sam Roberts or Peter Rosenberg a lot, but whatever they're paying them is too fucking much because they're shit. Because every time I see them that they're legitimately burying talent, I'm right, but the difference between doing that on a radio show, at least they're not going full JD from New York, but when you're on you need to make everything look legitimate, as legitimate as possible, and you just can't do that. But a performance can insult a performance, but you're meant to be an on-air reporter. It's just annoying.
Yeah, no, I agree completely with you. I don't know if you saw this, Chris, because I know you had this match on in the background, but Peyton Royce delivered a very, very questionable looking suicide dive / cross body through the ropes.
That's why I said Peyton Royce almost died, because she if there wasn't somebody, if there was one less person there, she probably would have fallen on her head.
Oh, I didn't hear you say Peyton Royce. I don't know what I thought you said. I heard someone die, but I didn't hear Peyton Royce. It was a scary looking spot.
Yeah, it wasn't good. And yeah, again, this goes back to half the women, they're not unsafe. Only one really is unsafe, but if they try to go to that next level, they seem to just sort of fall apart a little, and that's fine. But that sort of speaks to how NXT isn't really developmental anymore, so there's nowhere for these people to quietly get better.
No, the match ended when Alexa Bliss hit the Twisted Bliss on Peyton Royce, and Sasha Banks rolled Alexa Bliss off Peyton Royce, rolled her up for the win so that they retained.
That was really smooth. And also, I noticed when Banks was throwing strikes, there were stiffer strikes. So she's just overall a bit stiffer. Now, I haven't seen her wrestle properly for a while, but yeah, she's stiffer than last time I saw her.
Yeah, absolutely. I gave it 5. It was inoffensive, relatively botch-free. 5. We then moved on to the grudge match of the show, the piss in the cut match.
Okay, several questions. So basically the setup for this is Sheamus knocked out Jeff Hardy in a back alley, ran over Elias, poured whiskey over Jeff Hardy to make it smell like he'd been drinking, and then put the whiskey in the car and ran off.
Yes, that is correct, yes.
Why did he do that? Also, he's committed a felony. He's stolen a car. He's assaulted someone. He's ran someone over, and also wasted some fairly good bourbon. Like, he should be in jail.
You heathen.
You know what I mean?
It was the fact. Hang on. It was the fact that Jeff Hardy, when he came out, cut this promo. By the way, Jeff's promo ability has come on leaps and bounds.
Because the thing is, he sounded legitimately pissed off, which to be fair, he probably is. It's not someone going, he would have to have approved it. But like, this is a place where it's fired people for less.
Exactly. But he then said, and then a witness said that they saw someone running away with red hair and a red beard. And I just thought, if you have a distinctive look like Sheamus undoubtedly does, cover the fuck up.
Yeah, it's like, oh, who is that really Sheamus shaped person running away from this crime scene?
And Sheamus has got a very distinctive run as well.
Yeah, no, exactly. He runs like a Roy McGee. Looks like he looks like a roided out Beaker from the Muppets. And yeah, you just put a hoodie on.
Yeah, absolutely. That's all it took. Just pull your hood up, Sheamus. I mean, he's less noticeable now than when he had that massive fucking ginger mohawk, which I do miss.
But he still has, like, sticky up hair.
Oh, yeah, he'd still stand out in a crowd. You wouldn't lose him at Alton Towers.
No, you he's also, I'm pretty sure he's too tall to go on half it right.
He's a big youth, is Sheamus.
He's a big one, isn't he? But yeah, like, honestly, the only problem I have with the belt, well, two things. One, the ethics of it. But even that aside, two, if Sheamus just wanted to like prove he was better than Jeff Hardy, just why didn't he just like do the normal WWE thing all the time? Like he didn't need like his feelings don't really back up the felonies he has committed.
I imagine, and I want to get into this in a min, but I imagine at Extreme Rules, which they advertised for July 19th, the day after Slammiversary, there is going to be some manner of cage match or stipulation match where Jeff is going to get the correct amount of justice for being framed. You know, Sheamus is going to be beaten hither and yon by Jeff.
I mean, like, he's had piss for an offer.
Can we just appreciate, just before we get on to this match, can we just appreciate possibly the greatest sell of Sheamus's career when that piss hit? And well done to the cameramen as well for catching that in slow motion, because as the piss hit the very end of Sheamus's beard and you've got the beard waggling, dripping in Jeff Hardy's viscous piss, it's just absolutely fantastic.
How much does Jeff Hardy have in the tank?
Well, not only that, the fucking colour of the thing. What has he been drinking?
Yeah, fucking drink, hydrate, Jeff.
He's just been drinking Powerade for 6 years.
It's like...
It's just Powerade.
Let's move away from the...
Let's move away from Jeff Hardy's piss.
Yeah, because like I don't trust to not go down a piss rabbit hole for half an hour. This match was fine. It had a decent structure. It built up nicely. We ended on probably the biggest spot. I thought it was okay.
I really enjoyed this match. I think both Jeff and Sheamus have got really good chemistry. Sheamus was really, really brutish. I thought this was the best I've seen Jeff in a long, long time. The story they told was relatively simple but good. You're right, the two brogue kicks, finished it off. It's clearly building to Extreme Rules, to a bigger stipulation match. But as first matches go in a feud, I really enjoyed it. Solid match. I gave it 7.
I gave it like high 6, low 7. For me, this is the best sort of you're going to get out of Jeff Hardy without a stipulation. Yeah,
you've got to remember the lad's 42 now. He's not going to be able to do the ridiculous shit anymore.
He's never been the best, right? Like the only 8 out of 10 non-stipulation Jeff Hardy match I can think of 2: Austin Aries and Randy Orton at Royal Rumble.
Oh, that match against Orton was good. That match against Orton was great.
But yeah, basically on that. Oh, and Punk. But then again, the best Punk match. Let's not go down this rabbit hole. This is probably as close to the best as you're going to get of Hardy without stipulation nowadays. He's best known for jumping off high shit, so... That should be fun.
I imagine that's why Extreme Rules is going to be highly centered around him. Before we move on to the Asuka versus Nia Jax match, which I know you didn't watch, so I'll talk about, but what do you think about the new logo for Extreme Rules?
I know it reminds me of something, but I've forgotten what it reminds me of.
Is it Disney X?
It's Disney XD. Yes, that's what it reminds me of. I loved Disney XD. Like, we had Sky for like half a year, and it was the best 6 months of my young life. And Phineas and Ferb, what a show.
Honestly, I saw that and I was like, that's the Disney XD logo. And then I logged onto Twitter, and literally the first thing on Twitter was a side-by-side comparison. Oh my god, it's a logo.
God.
It's a logo.
You know what else it reminded me of was Jet X, if you remember that.
Yeah. It's clearly someone in the back has gone, well, Extreme Rules has had the same logo since 2014. We need to change that shit up. And just it looks like someone has paid £3.50 to a freelancer and has just said, I need you to knock something up now.
They lost Spider.
It was not good, but yeah, there we are. Singles match for the Raw Women's Championship. Asuka versus Nia Jax ended in a double countout. Chris, I know you're not a fan of Nia Jax, but
nope.
Asuka was phenomenal in this match. I thought, again, these two have a decent chemistry. You've got the disparity between Asuka attempting all these submissions, really, really ingenious ways of getting into arm bars and things like that, and then Nia Jax's power. It got a bit sloppy at the end. Asuka well, it wasn't just Jax. The ending was bizarre. Basically, you've got Jax on the inside and Asuka doing what is known as the Suzuki armbar over the ropes. They end up both on the outside, then some sort of mess. Either Asuka lost a grip, I think, or Nia lost her grip. One of the two. Simple thing. They both ended up on the outside, and then stuff sort of... It just ended in a double count-out. It was a very, very anticlimactic ending.
But we're going to get more, because you know what Nia Jax deserves after injuring Kairi Sane twice in a month is title shots, a big title program.
I'll be honest, I have no desire to see this match again. I know that the Raw Women's division is sort of wafer thin at the moment, but this is not a program I want to see more of. I think, obviously, Nia went off and had two extremely serious knee operations, and, you know, it does take a lot of time to recover from that, but it's very, very clear in these matches that she has lost a step, and it's becoming clearer. Asuka, again, absolutely fantastic. You know, she continues to be one of the best things on Raw, and I think she is the absolute right person to carry the Raw Women's Championship. I feel bad giving it a 4, but I don't feel like I can give it any more because it was just such a shit ending.
It was a nothing match, basically.
It was a complete nothing match, yeah, absolutely.
Am I right in saying the next
sorry.
one is also that, and we should just skip it because I don't want to give any time to this?
Basically, the Braun Strowman beating Miz and Morrison in a 2-on-1 handicap match for the Universal Championship. The only caveat you need to know is that Miz and Morrison didn't realise until the pre-show that the stipulation meant that whoever pinned Braun was the Universal Champion, not both of them, and that led to, you know, Morrison and Miz together are great. I think they are genuinely funny. Their song to Braun was genuinely funny.
Have you ever watched The Dirt Sheet, their old show?
I haven't.
It's great. You should.
Oh, right, okay. I wasn't sure if there was more to come. You were just like, have you ever watched it?
Well, you do. Sure? Yeah, no, it's just really good. Like all these shows, like being the Elite, they sort of followed in its footsteps. Like my favorite one, we were parodying CM Punk, and it was like, I don't drink or do drugs or talk to women. It was which is funny because CM Punk notoriously talks to a lot of people. Anyway, let's just move on because I have no time to give to Braun Strowman.
No, it was fine. I gave it a 5. It was fine. We then got to the WWE Championship match between Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley, of course, coming out with MVP. Chris,
I like MVP as a manager.
I really, really like MVP as a manager.
He comes off as proper legit. Like, he actually trains with Lashley, like he's actually coaching Lashley. And it makes sense because they were in a stable in TNA called the Beatdown Clan with Kenny King. Great stable. Samoa Joe was in it for some reason at some point. So was Manic. It was TNA's weird. And then MVP's also going, look at my track record. I am a champion. Let me coach you in being a champion. It's great. He's like an amazing promo, and Lashley's a shit promo. It's perfect.
Yeah, hard to disagree with that, to be honest, Chris.
And Ben, for some reason, sorry, we'll continue. I'm still really happy on a patriotic level that Drew McIntyre has had such a good reign. Like, he had belt with Rollins last month, and he's had another one here with Lashley. What I liked about this match was both men very clearly had to change up their games at point, like going for submissions, like Bobby Lashley rolling out into an ankle lock, or Drew catching a spear into a Kimura.
That was beautiful.
It was great. And so smooth for someone who doesn't normally lock in Kimuras. And this was so much better than I expected. This is a low-key WWE match for me.
The thing I will say is you've hit all the points there, Chris. It just goes to show for me it's taken the WWE since the night after WrestleMania 34 to actually book Bobby Lashley properly, because here Bobby Lashley was a legitimate contender and will be again. And I will go out of my way to say Bobby Lashley will be champion by the end of the year.
You know what? I think it's more likely to jump over and take the belt from Braun.
I think if you are going to put the belt on Lashley, you need to put the belt on Lashley soon, because at the moment he's as hot as he's been.
But yeah, it's like this. The same thing happened with Andrade in NXT. He was treading water, but then he got the right manager in Andrade's case, Selena, in Lashley's case, MVP, and it worked out beautifully.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I think if you just do a few more months of a couple more months of Lashley being trained by MVP, I think that could work. I'm trying to think if I've seen a Lashley match better than this. Maybe he's one with Angle, but I can't think of any other.
He's never been one of. I'm not familiar with his back catalogue and Impact.
It's sort of a Lesnar thing, except he's not quite as good as Lesnar, where his MMA record makes him seem more legit, and so when booked well, he was in TNA, it gives him a certain aura, but he doesn't have the body of work to back up some of the praise people give him. People are he could be putting on 5-star classics. No, he couldn't. He's not that type of wrestler, but he could be. But Brock Lesnar's a bad example. He could be more like a Shayna Baszler type.
Yeah, no, I see that. It's, again, from what I've seen of him, this has been his greatest in-ring achievement since he's been back in the WWE. And as that is nigh on 2 years, that's not good enough.
Oh, it's been 2 years already. Time moves so fast.
I know. One thing I will say about this match, because I gave it 8 because I really, really, really
enjoyed it. I gave it an 8
it.
as well. It went to a low 8 though, because that fucking ending. What? Also, during the beginning of this match, Lana watching the TV sideways. Why the fuck do they still do that? They know we're laughing at them, right?
It was such a TV ending, and it didn't need to be. The match had been that good that if Drew had got a sneaky win, Drew is still legitimate because he's beaten a worthy contender. Lashley doesn't lose anything, but it just felt like nobody gives a shit about this Lana angle, and that's just the long and short of it. No one gives a shit.
I didn't realize. still going on until Lana ended up on the fucking telly.
Well, it's when someone said, "Oh, they're going to get divorced." I was like, "Is that even still a thing?" But yeah, what?
Is Liv Morgan still banging Rusev?
Yeah. I don't know. It ruined it for me a little bit.
Yeah, but like, this is probably the best match you're going to get under 15 minutes in the Fed. So, yeah, and like, this is one I'd actually say go out your way to watch. I have an overall positive feeling of both men coming away from this, of like everyone involved apart from Lana. So,
yeah, absolutely. Don't let us slagging off the finish ruin it for you. It was legitimately a really, really good match. You should go out of your way and see it. It was second best match of the card for me. So, yeah, absolutely go and check it out.
The greatest wrestling match of Backlash.
Oh, no. No, Chris. I want you to sit the fuck down. I want you to shut the fuck up because I have got some shit to say about this. So, yes, we do, Chris. Because this absolute fucking horse cart of bollocks followed it. Now, I have said before that the WWE handles comedy like a kick to the fucking bollocks. And honestly, they advertised on the Sunday morning that the War Raiders and Street Profits, who have been in this feud where they've been trying to outdo each other in certain competitions, fine, on TV and the Raw Tag Team Championship's just been held at the moment without being defended. So we then had what was supposed to be a match, but we cut backstage and they aren't having a match. We get what is effectively our cinematic match of the pay-per-view. And this entire thing is whatever you can do, we can do better. But honestly, Chris, this was an absolute cavalcade of bollocks. You had brawling, then they all had weapons, the Street Profits had golf clubs, and then War Raiders had shields, and then Hansen, because I refuse to call him Eric or Ivar, because I don't know which one he fucking is holding up a bowling ball because he's the comedy one now. He's the stupid one.
Wait, Hansen's the comedy?
Yes. Hansen is the comedy. He rolls the bowling ball into the nads of Montez Ford because, bollock humour. We then go outside and one of them ends up onto the windscreen of Braun's car. One ends up through the window of the Performance Centre. This isn't the bad bit. Do you know what is the bad bit, Chris? Do you know what shows up afterwards? Fucking ninjas. Not just ninjas, Chris. Ninjas on fucking bikes. And then do you know who's the lead ninja, Chris? Do you know who's the lead ninja, Chris? Akira fucking Tozawa. Because he's fucking Japanese. Do you get it? Do you get it? He's Japanese. Ninjas. Do you get it? Oh my God. If anything on this fucking thing had Vince McMahon written all over it, it is this. Why has Akira Tozawa been lumped with a fucking ninja gimmick? It is absolute bollocks. And then we have the Viking Raiders and the Street Profits then joining to become the Viking Profits. They team up and have a little fight with the ninjas, and then a massive fucking ninja turns up. He's 7 foot, and then for some strange reason, Hansen has the Force and is able to summon a turkey leg out of a bush because he's the fucking Jedi. And then we get up onto a truck and the ninjas are never seen again until Raw the next night, and they fight on top of the truck, and then they jump off the truck into a dumpster, a truck which has No Way Jose's face on it. That's awkward. And then they end up in a skip, and then because we've already had one Star Wars fucking reference, we have another, but not before the referee, a random woman referee, turns up, goes, "Hey, you guys, aren't you supposed to be having a match? Hey, Eric or Ivar, whichever one Hansen is, you're cute." Because of course we are, because he keeps having flashbacks to stuff that's happened on Raw. But in this skip, there's something alive, because A New Hope, Star Wars humour, and then this tentacle appears, and that's where we cut to black. And the commentary team, Chris, after all this bollocks that included Akira fucking Tozawa dressed as a ninja because, haha, Japan, the commentary team don't mention it again.
Can I speak now?
No! Why does Hansen have the Force?
Right, this is a bad segment.
A bad segment?
Right, okay, yes. It's probably the worst segment of the year.
Oh my God! It was the worst thing I have seen all year. This makes the fucking Money in the Bank ladder match, which I know some people like, that's fine. That was a shit match for me. It just didn't click. This made that look like Kenny Omega versus Okada.
Yeah, I kind of just want to touch on the Akira Tozawa thing, because I've seen people going, "Why don't you give it a chance?" And it's going, and I thought back. I'm like, apart from Asuka, okay, apart from in terms of male Japanese wrestlers, who hasn't been given a lazy racist gimmick? Like, you look at even Nakamura going, I know speaky English, or Naoto that was a ninja, go through back a few years, going for Naki. I think, like, Hideo Itani's the only person who passed through and got out unscathed by a gimmick, and that's only because he got thrown in 205. So, yeah, it's not great. Like, you have, like, amazing workhorse Tozawa stuck here. I don't want to comment on the rest of this, because sort of Rob's rage got it across just fine. And I kind of just want to move on. So can we please move on to something good?
Utter shit. So anyway,
right, so the greatest wrestling match on Backlash.
The WWE did a wonderful job of packaging this.
Beforehand gave me goosebumps.
The promo beforehand was amazing. Edge and Orton were fantastic. The fact that the WWE did so many things to make it, seem like this huge thing. You had the MSG microphone, you had Howard Finkel's voice coming through, which I thought was a lovely touch. And, they amped up the crowd chants, which I thought was great. You had different camera angles, which were a little jarring, but otherwise okay.
I like the crane cam just because it reminds me of Owen versus Brett.
Yes, the crane cam was really good. There was a double down, which looked really, really good.
Even the entrances, like Randy Orton sort of had a wide shot for his entrance, like it was just one long shot. I thought that was quite cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
The crowd splicing was actually done really well. It's very obvious that this was filmed beforehand.
It was filmed on June the 7th. Yeah, it was June the 7th.
It's like, if you in my opinion, if you have a show in advance, you should do all you can to make everything pop. Lucha Underground knew this, and like, this is the best thing that's been done since Lucha. In terms of the match itself, I thought it was great. Like, especially at the beginning, where both men were sort of setting traps for each other. Like, we're both Jay White fans, but me and Rob lived for that shit. And, like, as soon as they started, like, especially Austin, who was basically playing with his food for the first 5 minutes of this match.
I thought, now, overall, I made the mistake. I actually saw the amount of time this match went before I watched it. And the actual time that it ran was 44 minutes and 45 seconds. Now, that is a long-ass time. And I was a little reticent to watch it because I thought 45 minutes of Edge versus Orton, that's I had 37 of it at Mania, and I didn't enjoy that. But we did. I think it was hampered a little bit by the tagline. Now, if the tagline had taken some amending, because there was a ready-made storyline there, and the storyline that Orton and Edge continued to tell during the match, the entire storyline is that Edge has not been in the ring for a straight-up wrestling match for 9.5 years. Can he still go? And that self-doubt that he had in himself, that's the storyline. That's all you've got to do. And they told that story beautifully. That first 5 minutes where you had the arm drags that Edge tried one too many and Orton was able to get out of it. Orton just trips Edge and Edge clumsily falls out of the ring and you see him looking embarrassed and Randy Orton just laughing at him. That was storytelling at its best.
At the beginning, even like from a fight standpoint, they were laying traps. Later on, when we were exchanging signatures, their signature moves almost blended together beautifully. It was like when oil and water come together to make a rainbow. When things got when bombs started getting thrown, it wasn't like what you see now. Like, I love what we have now, where bombs are thrown and it's all like backdrops and lariats and forearms. Here, it was like old school stuff. It was like a crossbody was a big move in this match because of how the match built, and that was really good. Like, it was, I don't say old school. It's more like this is like the best example of a WWE main event I can think of in recent memory, like in terms of a WWE style main event, because the WWE style sort of went awry. Yeah, like it's just great. I'm still so happy. Like when Edge's music hits, I still kind of get back right in the soul. Like I think both me and Rob had him in our top 10 of all time. And it just hits you right in the soul as soon as you think you know me hits. And yeah, like it's one of the few times where I can sort of switch off the whole, everyone in that crowd probably has corona now, because the match just suckered you in. It, just amazing. And again, at the beginning where Randy Orton was basically baiting Edge was great. And then but my favorite part was when Randy Orton sort of dropped Edge on the commentary table, and then if you listen closely, he's going, "I'm gonna fucking kill you. I'm gonna fucking kill you," and it's great. I loved it.
I can't add any more to that. I think everything, Randy Orton gets accused, and rightly so, and he's come out himself and said it.
No, they mentioned on the match, they were like, Randy Orton's been going, he's been coasting for 9 years and is still a multi-time world champion.
Exactly. And again, that's played so well into the storyline.
Yeah, by the way, how good was Samoa Joe on commentary?
Samoa Joe was really, really good. The commentary, I will just say, even Byron Saxton, who I've got little to absolutely no fucking time for, I thought all the commentary team did an absolutely stand-up job with this. I thought it felt like a big fight feel.
Mm-hmm. Because Joe would even go for example, because the thing is, this match was mostly stationary and holds, like a good half of this match at least was stationary and holds. But they meant something, because Orton was going for the neck, Edge was going for the shoulder, so they worked those parts. And Byron or something went, "Oh, this is a much needed rest for Edge," and Joe was like, "That's not a rest. Like, he's working this body part. Like, it's not as bad as being punched in the face, but Edge is still working really hard and expending the little energy that he has." Yeah. So Joe on comic, he makes it feel legit, and that's partly because Joe very clearly loves real fighting. He very clearly loves MMA and boxing and stuff like that. So he tries to incorporate that, and that's sort of what Mauro Ranallo does. It's less over the top, because as much as Mauro can bring to a match with his enthusiasm, when he tries to slow down and break down the fight, it doesn't quite hit, because you're just used to him being boisterous all the time, whereas Joe's there actually breaking down the fight, and it made everything feel more. That's what you need to do in commentary. Rest holds are rest holds. You need to make the rest holds matter.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Orton winning was absolutely the right choice. Unfortunately, Edge has sustained a legitimate injury. He's torn his tricep, which means that he's out for 4 to 6 months. Which...
That's so awful, because he's been out for 9 years.
Exactly, and to then... He's had this match, there's a buzz about this match, rightly so as well, because it's a bloody good match. And then to then have it ripped away it's really, really sad for him, and it does mean he'll miss SummerSlam.
Yeah, which is where he returned last year, wasn't it?
Not to wrestle, but yeah, it was.
Not to wrestle, but it's when he hit a spear and people were like, "Oh, this could be a possibility."
That was the moment everyone realised he's coming back, isn't he?
Yeah. Edge has been one of very few things I've been interested in WWE this year, just because look at the man. And it's very hard to draw out and describe this match, because in terms of what actually happened, not a ton happened. This is all story work. This is all character work, and with a few bombs thrown in there. But the smoke and mirrors work when the story's there, which it was.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now I'm just interested to see how Randy Orton, because Randy Orton this feud's very clearly going on, given what happened on Raw, because Christian came back, didn't he? And they had a match, and he destroyed Christian. So and maybe he's going to feud with Christian for a few months before Edge comes back or something. I don't know.
Well, that was something I was going to ask you. Is Christian back? I assume Christian has come out of retirement, has he?
Yeah, I haven't seen the match, but from what I understand, it wasn't up to much. So I think maybe they'll fight over the next couple of pay-per-views while they wait for Edge to recover. Maybe.
What did you give it, Chris, out of 10?
I give it a 9. I flip-flop between 8 and 9, and then I thought about in the COVID era, what else I gave a 9, what else I gave an 8, and I was like, yeah, this probably stands up there with a lot of 9s I gave, so I gave it a 9.
I do. I gave it a high 8, so do you know what? Fuck it, let's give it a 9. Why not? So that was Backlash. Overall, a really, really good show. However, it was hampered somewhat by the news that came out of the WWE, where it turns out that filming had to be stopped because there was a positive coronavirus test result.
Because they haven't actually, of course, testing is widely available, especially antibody tests. You need, you're very lucky to get one. But you look at, if you bring up AEW and a WWE argument, people seem to just go, "Oh, look, you trying to score a point." I'm not. I'm just using that for comparison. AEW, you're looking for crowds. If people have elected to wear masks, they're wearing masks. Everyone on the show or in the building, they may not have had an antibody test because that's very hard to get. But again, I question the ethics when we talk about AEW. But at least they're doing swab tests. They're doing actual tests. Whereas WWE, they just take temperature, and so many times, how many horror stories have you read in the news, Rob, where people haven't presented with a fever before getting the worst symptoms of corona? And then reportedly, people were told if you're going to wear a mask, don't turn up, and that's disgusting. Because you look at those crowds, Rob, we're being told, we were told to stand 6 feet apart. 6 feet apart only applies if you're not screaming. Apparently, if you're screaming, you should be further apart. B, you looked in the crowd in Backlash, Rob, but even beyond people who live in the same house or whatever, how many of those people were very much not 6 feet apart?
Yeah, it's not a good look at all.
I saw people going, because not only that, they're standing. There's no marks on, when we go out, there's no marks on the floor. Because WWE are so obsessed with aesthetic. They're so obsessed with aesthetic to the point where it's literally killed people. So, this isn't a surprise. But also, people are very much trying to downplay it, which is so. I saw somewhat. Alvarez put up here the response he got about it, and which the thing was basically, we told them to stand 6 feet apart, so therefore masks weren't needed. No fucker, but whatever. And someone goes, "See, that's all you needed to hear." It's no, it wasn't. Someone tested positive for fucking COVID, and they made it in the building. Apparently, and this is the first actual test they're giving their roster now. With how long are we into this epidemic? 2 or 3 months, at least. Time blends in together, but it's been long enough to test your fucking roster. You've had enough time to release half your roster. I think you can test the ones who are left.
Yeah, it's not great at all. The fact that it's been widely reported that they've been told if you turn up with a mask, you are not a WWE fan, and I've seen the person who apparently, again, this is apparently, who has said this is Kevin Dunn, apparently.
It's disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Even the fact there was no masks in the crowd, the WWE was we thought, no masks in the crowd. That's disgusting in and of itself. Again, we question, it's ridiculous questioning the ethics of wrestling events now, because they're just going to happen, and it's annoying. But if you're going to have it, do what AEW's been doing, do what New Japan or Stardom have been doing, where they've tested everyone who's going to be in that building, and when they're going to hold events in front of fans, they're going to be ridiculous. They have 4,000 people. They have less than 4,000 people in a 1,200 people arena. Whereas here, they're in an incredibly enclosed space. They're very much not 6 feet apart, and none of them are allowed to wear face masks. Whereas most again, in Japan, they're providing face masks because face masks aren't to stop you from getting it. It's so if you have it, you can't accidentally get the molecules in the air, so the virus can't attach to anyone. It's just I think this every few months, because every few months there is inevitably a massive. Actually, it's almost every 2 months on the dot. There's a massive WWE controversy, and one of these would sink any other company. And I'm amazed WWE hasn't sank yet. And what annoys me is that this Backlash, they're going to turn that into a documentary in 20 years and make themselves a victim, because that's what we do with everything.
Yeah. How we are going to stand for WWE TV, I don't know, because obviously they were in the midst of tapings, and those tapings have obviously had to be abandoned, and rightly so. So yeah, we'll see where we end up with that. Chris, did you want to just briefly, because obviously, unfortunately, due to the power cut I had, we weren't able to talk about Takeover. Do you just want to give some brief thoughts on Takeover?
Okay, I'll just give, if we just quickly run down the card, give quick thought. Okay, so Shotzi, I forgot everyone on the team. So Team Shotzi versus Team Candice. This was fun. Everyone got their moment to shine. Raquel Gonzalez is and Dakota Kai have a pretty good Shawn Michaels Diesel thing going, which I found quite enjoyable. Tegan Knox is just amazing. I can't wait to see her get more things to stick her teeth into. Shotzi Blackheart has a tank, and I think that's wonderful. And Candice LeRae can fuck off. I'm so done with the Garganos. We'll get into that in a second. Yeah, this was fun. A really fun, fluid 6-man. Got everyone over. Garth hated it, which made me give it a 7.
Just quickly, just to tag on to that before Chris moves on. There is a full write-up of the show on the website. If you want to check out our ratings for it, you can go onto the website, www.podmania.co.uk. The write-up is on the website, and the match ratings are in the match rating archive. Chris, next match for me.
Next was Priest versus Balor. This was great. This was really good back and forth stuff. I love how Balor's been wrestling since coming back to NXT. It's less flashy, but instead, for example, he still sends people outside for a dive, but instead of a dive, it's like a basement dropkick. Everything connects hard. His promos have been especially his backstage promos have been fucking on point every time I see him. In build up to this, when he was like, Damien Priest, you want to live forever? Well, you're not going a very smart way about it. I'll let you kneel at the king's altar before I bury you. And that sounds ridiculous when I say it, but when Balor does it, it's like, yes, ruin my life. I don't even care, you sexy Irish boy. This was just great. Really good stuff. I didn't think old Punishment Martinez was capable of this sort of thing. It's weird because it's essentially a heel versus heel match, but Balor's very clearly building up to something. Given what happened in NXT, he's going for Keith Lee's title, and then he's going to go after Cole afterwards. Gargano was there because he's always fucking there. This is just really fun. That bump under the steps was nasty.
Oh, no.
Yeah, no, he hit him and everything went slow. Everything went a bit slower. And fucking Imogen Heath started playing.
Awful.
Yeah, but yeah, great match. 8 out of 10. I think we both gave it an 8.
We did. Enjoyed it massively.
Cool. We differentiate on this match, Grub.
I thought this match was great.
Yes, lots of people. This seems to be very much like an Utami Arisa thing, and sort of a discourse around it, whereas people on my side or people on Rob's side, and don't get me wrong, we're not the leaders of each side. We're just on different sides. We're like Romeo and Juliet. Yeah. So I love Keith Lee. Keith Lee is Bay, and I love him, and I hope to one day have his babies, but. Johnny Gargano, I have no time for nowadays. He has not had a great match since the last Cole match, which was a year ago now. And yeah, he just I'm glad they finally settled on the fact that he's a heel, so he can actually go in a direction. But also, he needs to pretend if he wants to be that shithead heel, or if he wants to be the Pete Dunne vindictive heel, because he doesn't have the range to pull off both. And in this, he seems to go between them. He wasn't all that great at targeting limbs because that seemed to just get dropped as and when he wanted it to be dropped. He tried to escape through a locked door, but yes, in video package had him coming out of it. In reality, leads to nowhere because he doesn't live in the performance center, and he tried to go through a locked door. which is ridiculous. I mean, despite tagging the Eye on NXT TV, he didn't really do much with that. Like he had the super kicks, but I can't think of, and I think a couple of gouges, but like again, that was picked up and dropped as he saw fit. Again, Keith Lee doing great things like the pounce and just throwing Gargano about. Love him. Love that he had Black Lives Matter on the back of him. Fucking respect that, because I imagine like that would get heat if Vince was in the building. Just Yim and Candice came out at some point, and I just want Candice LeRae to have one storyline away from Gargano, because she seems incapable of doing that right now. Just this match, nothing clicked here for me, and the only thing that gave it a passing grade for me was the fact that Keith Lee is like the perfect human being.
See, I couldn't disagree with you more. I think the Eye played a massive part in it. I think you've let your inherent hatred of Johnny Gargano at the moment cloud the match a little bit, because he did nothing but target the eyes and the fingers, which were the injuries highlighted before the video, and he targeted them fairly relentlessly. I thought all the big spots clicked. I thought the chemistry was there. I thought it went potentially a tad long. I do agree with you. I think the inclusion of Yim and LeRae was a little bit pointless and a little bit contrived, and there was no need for it. I disagree with you. I think him trying to escape back through the locked door was quite funny, especially as you saw Keith Lee coming up through like the doorbell cam behind him, and then you just saw Gargano look at him and just hear him whisper, "Please don't," and then Keith Lee slamming him against the door. I genuinely found this match really entertaining, really hard-hitting. There was great chemistry there. There was a decent story told. Yes, it went long. Yes, the women interference at the end was pointless. But otherwise, I disagree with you, Chris. I thought it was great.
You gave it an 8, didn't you?
I did. And so did Garth.
I gave it a 6. We should point out that we both gave the 6-man a 7. Garth gave it a 4. And for some reason, we caved and went for democracy there. But we didn't cave and go for democracy here.
No, damn right, because you're wrong.
I'm not wrong.
I'm afraid you are, Chris. Anyway, next match.
Next match was Velveteen versus Adam Cole. And it's so weird, because NXT, despite the fact that recently more than anything has been falling into the same tracks as main roster has, like the DIY revivals stinking of like the later Shield revivals where they're doing it for no reason. Like literally people were like, "Hey, do you want to do it one more time?" And we did it one more time for some reason, and then Gargano was suddenly against. It's stupid. And then just falling into like desperately going for ratings, which has hurt me over a product every time I try to tune in up until build up for this. Actually, the build up for this I actually found very entertaining. But then this, it was like the NXT TV match, but with a lot of nothing and a couple of cool things in there. Like, for example, I forget what he's called in NXT, but Simon Shaw coming out and kidnapping the Undisputed Era. I'm into that. I'm into a bit of kidnapping in my wrestling.
Dexter Lumis.
Yeah, Dexter Lumis. There we go. So like that was fun, and then like the entrances were cool. Velveteen Dream being that guy from Walking Dead. I should probably get around to that show one day. Just everything around this match had the potential to be like one of the best COVID era matches, and then it was just bland for most of it, and then at the end it was like a standard NXT TV main event, and Cole won, which like I don't think is the worst idea in the world, but also like, oh, this was ridiculous. I literally felt it pointless. There was just several minutes in this match when nothing was happening, and like I think having commentary over this match, while it added to something like Stadium Stampede, took away from it, because there was a lot of dialogue in this match and you couldn't hear it because Mauro, Beth, and Tom were talking over it. Like nothing. Like again, it's like the other one. Nothing clicked, but here there was less good to grasp onto.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy this match. Again, they've either got to go all in on the comedy, which was dreadful in this match. That Uber spot made no sense whatsoever, and fell flat, wasn't mentioned, wasn't referenced, was just a bit shit. It was a very, very punchy. There was a lot of transition between spots. And the spots were great, and Velveteen Dream was great, and Adam Cole was great. Velveteen Dream coming out as a member of Walking Dead, like I said, was great.
But the issue is, they didn't have smooth transition. Like, literally just spots happened, and then nothing happened for 5 minutes, and then spots happened. But, like, this, like, how I tried to categorize it, this wasn't like a 6 out of 10 where it's a good match with bad aspects. This is like a 3 or 4 out of 10. This is a bad match with good aspects.
Yeah, it's not great. It's certainly one of the weaker cinematic matches of this time.
Yeah, it's not as bad as the Ciampa versus Gargano, just on the basis of it wasn't an hour long.
No, it was 15 minutes, just under 14:57, I think.
Yeah, but it felt longer than that. It felt like at least 20.
It did, absolutely.
I gave it a 3.
We gave, I think overall it got a 6. I think overall.
Is that just Gaff trying to boast the Velveteen Dream's rating because that's his favourite?
I reckon it's something to do with that, yes.
Yeah, and then the main event, which was just a fun triple threat. I have thoughts on my booking, which we'll get into at the end, but like this was fun. I'm sure I was obviously the standout. Charlotte does come off as a star, but like that's mostly that because they booked her so well over the years. The problem is people are sick of her, and I can completely I'm sick of her, and I watch WWE maybe like 10 times a year in terms of a full show. Like I watch like the takeovers and like the big four maybe, and then I'm sick of her. So I imagine if you're watching WWE week on week, you're like, Charlotte, just like fuck off or something. Rhea Ripley getting the title taken off, I think, is pointless in hindsight. Like again, this match is good, especially when it just descended into like random fighting, and I'm sure I could jump off high things because she's really good at jumping off high things. But Rhea Ripley's the one who got pinned. By the way, I'm surprised her face is still intact after that moonsault. And like the knee connected with the fucking face. Like I am surprised that because Charlotte didn't get pinned. So like the biggest thing I saw when Charlotte won the belt of Ripley is, well, someone would beat Charlotte and it would be a big moment for them. And then no, because Rhea just got beaten again. And like, I don't get me wrong, I think she could be rebuilt. Like she's not beyond repair or anything, but like coming out of Survivor Series weekend, there was 2 NXT talents who got over massively, and that was Keith Lee and Rhea Ripley. And they basically used Rhea Ripley to put Flair over. Now, in a desperate attempt to draw a rating, I've watched about half of the NXT since Mania. Flair barely. When Flair did feature, it was shitty finishes, or like bad tag team matches where Chelsea Green turned up for some reason. If she wasn't going to take the pin here, what's the fucking point?
Completely agree with you. I thought the match was great. I took issue with Ripley taking the pin. Shirai is or feels like an absolute superstar. I just think she would have got a lot more of the rub had she pinned Charlotte, because Charlotte is obviously not going back to NXT now. She's looking at Raw. She's on
having matches with Asuka again because we need more of that. My thing is looking at it, because basically how Rhea got into this match was rematch clause, which I think is stupid. I don't like rematch clauses as a rule, but Shirai got it through a briefcase and then getting screwed out, getting like disqualified out of it. And I'm like, well, that's a great reason to have this match. And there'd be more heat. Because Charlotte's then like the heel trying to get away from the big upstart. And then literally the story's there, but they don't want anyone to pin, don't want anyone in NXT to pin Charlotte. And I know, we've reviewed 2 Charlotte matches this year, not including the Rumble, and we gave both an 8. So, like, she's a great performer. Fuck off, though.
Completely agree. Let's carry on with some of the other news then. So, obviously, we've talked about Paul Heyman being removed from creative. I just wanted to get your thought on that, Chris, really, really quickly, with Bruce Pritchard now over both shows.
I haven't been watching Raw, so I couldn't tell you how he's been doing. I've heard good things about COVID era Raw, to be fair. So Heyman has a good Heyman has bad booking tropes. Like, people sort of romanticize ECW, but if you go back and look at some of their booking, it was bad. But Heyman has a great eye for talent. So, that's kind of what he offered. And if he's going, because I'm trying to think of, I know there's bad examples of who Bruce Pritchard has tried to push, but Bruce Pritchard basically got this position because people liked his podcast, wasn't it?
I think that, and the fact that he's one of Vince's bezies done it.
Yeah, that's my issue, where it's Heyman's got fired over standing his ground, whereas Pritchard hasn't. So I think that's one bad thing. Again, I don't watch the product. I can't. I don't watch the product week to week. I watch a few matches from pay-per-views, if I can be asked. So yeah, the product seemed better from what I've heard, especially on SmackDown. The SmackDown, just on the basis that they have a long Daniel Bryan match every week. But yeah, I don't. If I had to Paul Heyman, I wouldn't take him out of the booking position. So, and I saw people going, well, we should give Pritchard a chance or whatever. And I'm like, how do people still have faith in the Fed?
Yeah, baffling. We have more wrestling returning in the form of New Japan and Stardom. Obviously, we are in the process of the New Japan Cup. Our Young Lion Cast episode reviewing that will be up on Friday. But in the interim, they have announced some more dates after Dominion on the 12th of July. So they've announced the New Japan Roadshow on Monday, July 20th at Korakuen Hall. Sengoku Lord in Nagoya, that show will return on Saturday, July 25th, and that's in Aichi. And then we have got the Summer Struggle 2020 shows, Monday, July 27th at Korakuen, and then Friday, July 31st at Korakuen Hall. Stardom have also announced their return. They are returning straight away with fans. That is just for their members, however. They're very limited seating. This is for June 21st at Shinkimba, and it is the Stardom Is Again show. And again, this is very similar to the Together Project show that New Japan put on this Monday, where the card will be announced at bell time. Chris, are we excited, and what do we think about the New Japan dates?
I'm always excited for new Stardom and New Japan. They're my favourite thing in wrestling. To be honest, I'm mostly looking forward to Stardom because we've had. Well, I'm sort of back in the groove of New Japan. I'm not going to comment on New Japan because we're going to do that with Young Lion. If you just want to know what I feel, I'm enjoying it. And B, Rob hasn't caught up with the cup yet, so I don't want to spoil it. But yeah, no, it's just going to be fun. I enjoy being back in the rhythm of Japanese wrestling, especially New Japan being back, because I can get up at 10 p.m. because at 10 a.m. because I'm a piece of shit. Get a cup of Joe and sit down and watch New Japan. It's been great. Just more New Japan, please. It's been great so far, even with less than stellar matches. Less than stellar lineups, I should say, because the matches have been really good. Yeah,
absolutely. Looking then at Impact Wrestling. So last week it was announced that the main event for Slammiversary, with Tessa Blanchard currently MIA due to the COVID-19 pandemic, they've announced a 5-way for the championship, main eventing that Slammiversary show on July 18th. Tessa Blanchard versus Michael Elgin versus Eddie Edwards versus Ace Austin versus Trey Miguel, all with legitimate shots at the title. Chris, what do you think of that match? Does it have you foaming at the mouth?
Let's see. So who's again? Tessa, Edwards, Trey, and Austin.
And Elgin.
And Elgin. That's a really good Fatal Five-Way lineup, and Impact have a really good roster going. Actually, I watched the last few. Well, not the last few, but I watched Impact last week because of a certain debut. I'm sure we're going on to that in just a second. But yeah, no, that's a great lineup. Because Elgin and Trey had a match, and that was really good. Yeah, that's really good. That's going to be a really fun. That's a TNA feeling thing. I saw someone going, "All these big men, how's Tessa gonna continue to win?" And I'm like, and I think it's fake, man.
Fucking hell, shit on everything, man.
Yeah, no, that's it. With people going, how is Tessa going up against, convincingly going up against Elgin? I'm sort of like, well, like you can do it in like very sportsman-like things, like Tessa needs to use her momentum to keep Elgin moving, etc. Like there's kayfabe ways you can make matches like that work, and Tessa is one of the best intergender wrestlers going. So yeah, and it's just going to be great. Is the women's match confirmed, or am I just speculating?
I believe it is confirmed that it'll be Deonna Purrazzo versus Jordynne Grace. I will just double check that while you talk about it, though.
So basically, what happened? Grace finished the match. Out comes Purrazzo doing her whole virtuoso pose. I haven't seen her wrestle since Mae Young, so actually no, she was on an episode of NXT UK against Toni Storm. And like, Rob, you know that I'm a bit of a sucker for a good Fujiwara armbar.
Yes. Sorry, it hasn't been confirmed yet, but it's looking highly likely that will be the match.
But yeah, like, Purrazzo comes out, offers to shake hands with Grace. Grace takes it, and then, smooth as you fucking like, gets Grace down into a Fujiwara from the handshake. And, like, Rob, that's my favourite thing in the world, is a good transition into a Fujiwara armbar. Just because I like saying Fujiwara armbar. But no, it's like, and like the hand was straight, it was just perfect, and I loved it. I'm looking forward to seeing, like, just on Purrazzo being in Impact, I'm very much looking forward to seeing where she goes, like how she is, because she's just been jobbing out on Raw from what I've heard. So
yeah, she's got a lot of potential, and I think she was wasted on NXT, which is a shame. I think she's in line for big things. She's only young. She's 26, so she's got a lot of good years ahead of her. Impact have got a good women's division. It depends where Tessa goes after this. Unfortunately, there is a lot of rumours that she's got quite a lot of backstage heat at the moment. If she stays on Impact, and if she goes back into the women's division, that means that your top three women, taking out anyone else, your top three women are Jordynne Grace, Tessa Blanchard, and Deonna Purrazzo. I mean, any company in the world wants to take them three.
Yeah. Is there anything else to talk about this week? AEW. I guess.
Yeah,
like,
just wanted to quickly run through that. Just really quickly wanted to run through the Fyter Fest card. So we've had some amendments to that. We've obviously still got Moxley versus Brian Cage. It was Omega and Adam Page versus the Best Friends. The Best Friends then had to win a number one contendership match for some unknown reason.
With the Lassex guys who don't have, with Jericho who has literally the worst record in AEW right now. He hasn't won a match this year, and I'm looking at that going, can we stop pretending the records matter?
Yeah, it was very strange. It was very strange, especially as it was pretty much guaranteed that Jericho was going to be taking on Orange Cassidy, which has since been confirmed. We've also got Cody versus Jake Hager for the AEW TNT Championship. Chris, I'm going to let you talk about that in a minute, because I know you want to talk about that from this week. And then the AEW Women's World Championship match has been confirmed. That's going to be Hikaru Shida taking on Penelope Ford.
Fuck. She's getting a title shot? Really? Sorry. But, really? Is this because Chris Statlander is injured?
Yeah, Chris Statlander's out for the foreseeable, unfortunately, with, was it an ACL injury? God, awful.
She landed wrong on a dive. Yeah, it sucks. I'm mostly, like, I feel more sorry for the mass, like, just taking into utilitarianism into account, we have to watch a Penelope Ford title match. But, yeah, like, Cody's TNT run has been good. Like, he's been using it how, like, we both agreed he should have, where he's doing like the Senior Open Challenge thing, and he's had a great match with Jungle Boy. I haven't seen his one with Matt Quinn yet, but I've heard that's really good as well. And then the dude who made NWA came out. I forget his name.
Ricky Sparks.
Yeah, Ricky Sparks. Anyone's better than anyone about NWA because they just don't put on good matches. So I'm sure that's a rant for another time. But yeah, the Fyter Fest is looking fun. Fyter Fest is looking like a really fun B show. I'm still concerned about what they're going to do with Cage. And I'm very wary with AEW and Monsters right now.
Yeah, if it was WWE, it's a no-brainer. It's a screwy finish. But AEW have steered away from this, and we talked about this with the Brody Lee match at Double or Nothing.
The Brody Lee match was great though. Like it was like a 90s feeling title match. Lee didn't really feel like because Lee isn't. But the thing is, Lee isn't presented as an unstoppable monster. He's presented as a scary person, but not necessarily a monster. Whereas Cage is very much like a machine. So like, and then when Shaw beating Moxley, I think is going to hurt him a little bit.
Yeah.
We'll talk more into that when we're closer, because when is that next month?
July 1st is the first night, and then July 8th. They're doing it as 2 special episodes of Dynamite.
Oh, so in that case, we'll be doing predictions next week.
Absolutely. Final thing, Chris, before we wrap up this podcast. You alluded to it earlier, just an update. Next week on NXT, you have got a triple threat for the North American title between Keith Lee, Finn Balor, and Gargano, and then the winner of that will go onto the July 8th show, which, yes, those are 2 matches, that is against the second night of Fyter Fest, where Adam Cole will take on the winner of that match in a winner-takes-all match. So we will have a double champion at the end of July 8th. The only reason I want to bring this up, Chris, is A, it was announced today, and B, I want you to tell me now who comes out July 8th as the first double champion on NXT.
Ooh. Right, I have 2 theories, and neither of them are Gargano.
Shock me.
Honestly, if it's Gargano, I'll fucking run naked through the scheme. No, I won't. But
what?
It's just something we used to say in school. Right, so either Lee's going to come out because, he's the perfect human, as we have discussed. And also, like a convincing, dominating monster. Or I think Balor has a chance because his reign got passed on, and they're brewing a nice little thing between... They've been brewing Cole and Balor for a while now. So I think that could be a really good way to do it, and I think that would be a great way to make Balor instantly legitimate. Because, like... He's sort of been treading water for a while. Like, he has been beating big names. Like, he beat Riddle and he beat Priest. And Gargano, who I guess Gargano is a big name. Really not Gargano's the weakest match. Yeah, just really... That is actually... Like, I saw that. I didn't watch this week's NXT, but you know what? If I finish Last of Us 2 by then, which comes out at midnight, I may just... I may just check that out. Like, that sounds more interesting to me than... But, like, yeah, this is very obviously because, oh my god, AEW is doing a big show. We can't lose in the ratings. So, in fact, we have been losing in the ratings. It's come in again. NXT is still losing in the ratings. And that's fine. Can we stop pretending that's a bad thing for both different products?
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Just wanted to get your opinion. So, that just about rounds off our week in wrestling for this week. Thank you so much for listening. We will be back next week, next Friday. Just a few things that are coming up on the PodMania Podcasting Network this week. Friday, when this drops at 10 o'clock, will be mine and Chris's rundown of the 2 nights of the New Japan Cup and the Together Project show as well. We'll be doing that at 4:30. Recording that, it'll be uploaded for 10 o'clock. Sunday, the Stardom cast will return, running through the Jungle, Kiona, and Queen's Quest feud. And then the following week, we'll be back with our week in wrestling. In the meantime, guys, don't forget to check out the website, www.podmania.co.uk, where you can check out all of our archived podcasts and match ratings and features, reviews, and previews. You can subscribe to the podcast anywhere you get your podcasts, whether that is Google Play, whether that's Apple Podcasts, whether that's Spotify, Stitcher. We are everywhere. Talk to us on Twitter at @PodMania. Join the Facebook group PodMania Podcasts. You can talk to me on Twitter at @RealRobGoodwin. Chris, I'm going to ask you, just for old time's sake, what your Twitter handle is, because I know you don't use it.
I'm Bushi. Yeah, just don't bother following me. I don't post on there.
Thank you so much for listening, guys, and we'll be back same time, same place next week. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to the PodMania Pro Wrestling Podcast. Follow us on Twitter at PodMania, Facebook at PodMania Podcasts, and YouTube and Instagram at Real PodMania. And check out the website, podmania.co.uk. Until next time, wrestling fans.